all 4 of these glasses contain what we know as rum. 2 of them are made from leftover sugar, essentially, and the other 2 are made from fresh sugar cane juice. But all 4 of these rums taste absolutely nothing alike. And that's the thing with rum. 90% of the world's rum is made one way. Today, we're going to talk about the other sort of up to 10%, it's probably a lot less than that is made another way. Now, these 2 rums on my left are what most of us would associate as rum. They are molasses-based rum, and molasses is just that black, syrupy stuff that is the leftover byproduct of making sugar. And that's how molasses-based rum was born. It was just a way of using up that leftover wastage from making all that sugar we use in our daily tea and coffees. And the thing with molasses, because it stores really easily, it can be shipped all over the world, rum, molasses-based rum, can be made all year round. So then these 2 rums on my right are sugar cane juice rums. Basically, a sugar cane is pressed and juiced and then fermented, and that ferment is then turned into rum before all that sugar has been extracted to make granulated or caster sugar. Now, to keep this video as succinct as possible, I'm going to give you some short bite-sized takeaway nuggets to explain the differences between these rums. So first off, when we're talking about molasses, molasses is essentially twice cooked, if you like. You've got that process of making sugar where heat is used, of course it is, into that sugar cane. And then you're obviously fermenting your molasses, and then you're distilling your molasses as well. And that's going to strip out a certain amount of flavour. Whereas sugarcane juice, because it's literally unprocessed, you're just taking a cane and juicing it and using that juice for your ferment, it kind of leaves that lovely sort of grassy, vegetal, funky kind of notes in the rum. And as I say, that creates a very different taste profile. And there is this school of thought with sugarcane juice rums that not many people have explored, and you kind of have to relate it to wine. Because with molasses, because it is a byproduct, you typically don't need to worry about where that sugarcane was juiced or grown. It could have been the Caribbean, it could have been Africa, it could have been Australia. Essentially, you are going to get very similar tasting molasses from all around the world. Whereas with sugarcane juice, you are relying on the terroir, where that cane is grown. And if you relate that to wine, you will know that grapes in different countries, in different climates, on different slopes and hills, different soils, produce very different products. So the same is true with sugar cane itself. And you have got loads of different varieties of sugar cane. So not only are they going to taste different, much like grapes in wine, but also if the same cane is planted in 2 different fields, maybe 2 or 3 miles apart, you're also going to get very different tasting results. But because rum world is dominated by molasses, most rum consumers don't get a chance to experience the terroir involved in cane juice rums. Now, I'll be honest here, if you've only ever experienced molasses-based rum, then your first taste and your first sip of an Agricole is going to be a little bit of a shock. So I'd implore you to give it 3, 4, maybe even 5 sips before you judge it, because those first 2 are not going to be what you're expecting. Now, just so you can see what I'm experiencing here, the whites I've got Rum JM, which is a 50% Agricole Martinique rum, and I've got the Plantaret 3 stars down there for my whites. So just to compare the 2 side by side, and I don't even need to pick this up and get this any closer to my nose, because I can smell the big, bold, grassy, funky notes coming off the Rum JM. It is that fresh cut grass, that straw, maybe even subtle sort of green fruit, like green appley notes coming off that. And then to sip and to taste, I really love white unaged Agricoles. I think they are absolutely delicious. I wasn't always like that. For years, I was like, oh no, I can't go near it. But now I've got used to them. I think they give great alternatives to cocktails, to a typical molasses-based rum. As that's finishing, I've got big citrus notes in there. Almost like a tiny, tiny little honey-esque vibe going on there. But it is those vegetal, those herbaceous notes that come through. Whereas with molasses rum, and okay, this is It's actually a blend, of course it is, hence the 3 styles. So Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica. So you've got 3 different styles of rum in there, but they're all English style and they're all molasses-based rums. I do get sort of tropical fruit off there as a back, but the big bold notes of sort of vanilla. It's sort of those vanillins that really come through there. It was absolutely zero aroma or zero taste to anything similar to that. You do not get that fresh cut grass. You do not get those vegetal notes or anything like that. It's just this creamy, luscious vanilla note, this sort of white rum that I'm used to. And again, I adore this as well. Now, does barrel aging sort of take away that funky, herbaceous sort of notes from an Agricole rum? Yes, to a certain extent. But can you tell the difference between the styles after you've experienced it maybe a handful of times? I would probably say most of you would. Now, while the Rhum JM Terroir Volcanic has been aged in heavily charred barrels, it's still a young rum and you've still got that certain amount of that freshness, that juice vibe. You get a tiny, tiny bit of citrus in there, but it is nowhere near as funky and as earthy and as, I keep using that word, but there's no other word for it, is nowhere near as vegetal as the white unaged rum. And I adore this stuff. Yes, I do get those vanillins. I do get sort of light toffee notes. As I said, it has been aged in heavily charred barrels for a certain amount of time as well. But you still don't lose that ethos of Agricole at the base of it. It is a very different mouthfeel. It's a very different taste. And then comparing that, again, probably not the greatest comparison in the world. We probably would go funk for funk. You know, Martinique is known for its funk. Jamaica is known for its funk. But then Appleton, especially the 8-year-old, is known for its, you know, it's just this lovely, gorgeous English style molasses-based pot still rum. And again, you've got the column stills involved in the Martinique stuff. And yes, I do get those banana-y notes off there. I get a subtle sort of pineapple-y note in there. And they, for me, are the top notes. But you do get those vanillins, those caramel, those toffee notes coming in after it. And that is delicious. It's really good rum. I adore it. But sipping neat, I would probably actually go more inclined to go for a younger aged sugarcane juice rum. I'm resisting the term to use Agricole because Agricole just really stems from Martinique and Guadeloupe. They've got the rules and regulations, so it can only be Agricole from those 2 countries. But everywhere around the world, if you've got access to sugarcane, can make sugarcane juice rums. Now, the big cocktail that goes alongside cane juice rums, Agricole, is the tea punch. It's basically stripped back daiquiri. It's a tiny, tiny bit of lime. It's a lime cheek, touch of sugar, and that's their cocktail. And no other cocktails really get mentioned that in the grand scheme of things with cane juice, with Agricole. But that's not to say that you can't use them in your typical cocktails. Will they make great daiquiris? Yes, of course they will. Will they make great mojitos and pina coladas? Yes, of course they will. They're just going to give you a different taste profile. And I'll be honest, adding like the 50% Rhum JM, that Blanc, into a pina colada, again, for me, is next level. I love that. Even to the untrained and beginner palate, I'm backing most people, again, to taste the difference between the Plantaray and the Rhum JM in a pina colada. So for me, I do believe that Agricole is a must stock in any situation. I don't saying you have to go mad with it. I know most of your home bars, most of your back bars, if you're a cocktail bar, are going to be made up of molasses-based rums. But having an Agricole in your armoury is going to enable you to put really good riffs and twists on even the most basic cocktails. Just to give you a couple of other examples of countries of islands making cane juice rum, I've touched on Guadeloupe and Martinique. They will make Agricole rums, and they have got that GI on there. They can do other things as well, but it can't be called an Agricole rum. But your other big 2 countries are Haiti, Barbancourt. Barbancourt makes a fantastic rum. And then obviously the big famous one is Brazil and cachaça. Cachaça is Brazil's own style of sugar cane juice rum. But again, because of how those islands and countries produce that rum, of how they go about getting their raw materials and how it's grown, those countries, so Guadeloupe, Martinique, is going to taste very different to Haiti, which is going to taste very different to Brazil. So that is emphasized on a grand scale without getting really granular and looking field to field and sugarcane variety to different sugarcane variety. You just don't get that with molasses-based rums, because I know for a fact a lot of the distilleries use different molasses in different times of the years, because at different times of the years is when the harvest comes from sugarcane. And a lot of these big distilleries, your Foursquares, your Plantains, your in Barbados, your Appletons, simply don't produce and grow enough sugarcane to keep them in molasses. So they have to buy it in. Now, if you're interested to try some other brands, some entry-level brands to any Agricole, any sugarcane juice rum, then drop me a comment below and I will help you out. I will guide you towards some of the brands that I think should be approachable, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in the US, whether you're all around the world. I've even got a bottle of Husk here from Australia. Now, if you're enjoying this rum education and want to take it a step further, I would love you to come and join my YouTube membership community. There's loads of perks in there. Part of it's going to be helping me build my cocktail book in 2027. But a big perk that I love shouting about, and these are growing every week now, is the membership live stream on Wednesday nights. We start off public and then we go private to the memberships. It could be tasting new rums, it could be doing different comparisons, could be tasting things that are new to me behind the bar, but it's good fun, it's good banter. So if you want to join me, the link will be in the description below, or you'll see a join button on most of my videos. If you don't want to do that, that's absolutely cool. If you want to watch another video, there'll be one on screen right now.